It's new MacBook Pro day. Let's do it. Oh, exciting times. Get out of here. 13.3-inch MacBook Pro with M1 chip. There's a new boy in town. So, after way too much deliberation, I decided to go with the 14-inch silver MacBook Pro with the M1 Pro chip. And I also got a Magic Trackpad Generation 3 for the desk setup with 1TB SSD and 16GB of unified memory. Still M1 Pro, not M1 Max, but for the stuff that I do on this channel, I don't think I need the M1 Max chip. Hopefully, from the one video that I've watched so far, iJustine's first impressions / unboxing, it seems like this computer is going to be able to handle whatever I throw at it quite easily without much trouble. Actually being able to pick this up this morning was such a bloody hassle. Long story short, I got there at my designated pickup time and they were like, that's strange. Your order's not on our system. So, not sure, you're gonna have to call Apple support. So in the end, it took me 2 hours to pick this up. So there was definitely a time when I didn't think that this was gonna happen. There's a whole saga behind it, but most of you aren't here for that drama. You're here to see the new 14-inch MacBook Pro with the M1 Pro chip. I'm really excited about this, guys. Should we begin? Fresh MacBooks, so satisfying. Oh. Yes. So yeah, I went for the silver this year. I honestly thought that I'd go for the space gray. I thought I was definitely just a committed space gray guy. But I don't know, something about the silver this year really drew me in. It looks really clean. Anyway, we'll talk about it more, I guess, when I'm looking at it properly. It's fairly heavy, fairly weighty, but like not crazy so. It's about the same size as the old M1, apparently. A little bit bigger, but anyway, we'll get into it. Let's look. This might be my new computer for forever. Not forever, but a long time. Ooh, the Apple logo is bigger than I thought. Okay, good. They're sticking with the paper for the wrapping, which is good. Good for the environment. Oh, this is so exciting already. Okay. This does feel pretty heavy. It's meant to be slightly heavier than this, right? I should have looked up the actual stats, but I didn't. Let's get back to that in a sec. The wrapper seems really papery, and they've got like extra protection around the Apple logo. By the look of it, it feels slightly thicker there. But anyway, let's oh yeah. So they've got MacBook Pro engraved on the underside. The aluminium feels really slightly textured. Grippy. Smooth but grippy? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, so that's cool. MacBook Pro. And this feels real papery, yeah. It is paper. Wow. Oh, this feels so different. I don't know how to describe this. It's, yeah, definitely just a different feel. I see now more what they meant about having more squared off edges. It's a lot more boxy. It feels like the older Macs. And even the feet are flat. Like they're not rounded like the old ones. They're very flat. Ugh, ports, guys. Ports. Look at that. Look at that. Ports as far as the eye can see. Yeah, and this Apple logo is big, but it looks good. This black against the silver. Before we open it. So they also have the new Magsafe 3 cord, and it is braided this year. / the first Magsafe 3 ever, so yeah, anyway, it's braided. It's braided like the iMacs, the 24-inch iMacs, unlike last year's charging cables for this generation and prior. Everything before this on the MacBooks and the MacBook Pros was not braided, but I think braided is the way to go from now on. Let me just get out of there. Try not to rip this every which way, but I did. Oh, the braided cord. I didn't think about this, but the braided cord is a lot like looser. It's like rope. I don't know why I didn't think about this. Like the other one is more stiff. This is just very much malleable. Yes, good, Alex, good. So very similar sort of vibe to the last generation, except it's much thinner. Shall we? Satisfying. Easy to attach, easy to detach. Depending on your desk setup, you may prefer to plug in from the opposite side via the Thunderbolt port. But if you'd like to fast charge, that is exclusively through the Magsafe 3 connector. And then of course we've got the classic Apple paperwork. But you know, no one wants to see the paperwork, everyone just wants to see the stickers. So the stickers this year are black, which coincides with the black Apple logo, which is on both regardless of the color. So you get 2 black Apple stickers regardless. So I guess they're just gonna keep that for the pros. They're kind of going with a bit more black this year, black keywell, black logo. Then we've got a new power brick. Actually, this is the same power brick, I'm pretty sure. This is the 96 watt power brick, slightly less than 100 watt power brick, which comes with the 14-inch models unless you get the base 14-inch model. And then if you're getting the 16-inch model, they are a 140 watt power adapter, which is even bigger than this, all right? So that's that. This is this. Let's put that back on. Okay, shall we? Instantly on. Come on. Oh, it smells really good. Oh God. Okay, I need to see this myself. Like, holy hell. Yeah, so you can tell it's slightly wider just by like the layout, even the speaker grills. But, oh my God. I love it. Let me just look at it for a bit. Yeah, that new keywell looks really, really nice, having the black behind all the keys, new Touch ID button. Yeah, not that you can see this, it's like, because it has more rounded edges now, because it's almost an edge-to-edge display. Yeah, I wasn't sure if like the mouse was going to sort of hit the corners and to sort of go into the corner more, like it was still a square, but it just goes all the way around, a smooth turn. Now, the moment of truth, how does the mouse interact with the notch? Because I still haven't looked this up. Oh, it passes underneath it. I guess it's like with the iPhone notch, like if you take a screenshot, the screen is still there, like it exists, you just can't see it behind the notch. So going a bit more in depth, in terms of weight, it feels about as heavy as what you'd expect it to be, and I feel like this will be a really good size to port.
Use English as the main language. Press the return key.
To move around. I feel like it'd be quite easy to get around, so it'll be a good size. So as I mentioned before, there are more ports on this one than the previous generation, which is what everyone is very excited about, and it is about time, Apple. So on the left-hand side, we've got the new Magsafe 3, we've got 2 USB-C/Thunderbolt ports, and we've got a headphone jack. And then on the right-hand side, we see the return of the SD card slot. We've got another Thunderbolt/USB-C port for a total of 3, and we've got the HDMI port. Ooh. This keyboard feels good. I don't know if it feels that different to the old one. It feels less like clickety-clacky. I don't know. Does that make sense? Yeah, this black keywell was an interesting design choice, but the keys are so fresh. There's my fingers rubbing across them. they're not oily yet. Alright, I'm gonna have to set this up properly later, of course, but the screen size is just so much better. And I'm sure in like 3 years' time, I'm gonna think these bezels are chunky, but right now, they're really good. I definitely think the notch could have been smaller than what it is. Like if you compare this to an iPhone notch, I'm not totally against the notch you may have seen in one of my other videos, but I don't think it should have been this big, and I don't see how they can justify it being this big. I feel like it should be half that depth. So if you have a light colored background, the notch is quite obvious, of course, like it's right there, smack in the middle, you can't really avoid it. However, if you want to change the background to something, for example, like, then you cannot even see the notch. It's practically invisible. The only time you see it is when you pass the mouse behind it because the whole top bar goes black to match with the background. Yeah, much nicer than that. Again, I don't hate the notch, I think it's fine, but this is a really good, clean way to avoid it if you're not a huge fan. Yeah, so let me just... The keys feel good, they feel really good. They're, I don't know how to describe it. Like there's a good amount of, just feels like the perfect amount of resistance. I thought the keyboard on this one was great. It honestly feels like there's slightly less resistance on the keyboard of the 14-inch compared to the 13-inch. Shall we do a quick just size comparison? So just to be really specific, this is a 13.3-inch screen and the new MacBook Pro 14-inch is a 14.2-inch screen diagonally. Of course, the 14 one has a notch, this one does not. Anyway, so if we compare them, yeah, how do I... Looks like it's like 3 millimeters bigger on each side. And in terms of height, it is slightly taller, and the top lid is slightly thicker, but it's not considerably so. But it's just because the new ones are more squared off, and the last generation is more rounded, that I think it looks a lot thicker than what it actually is. Yeah, it just seems like bigger and chunkier, like beefy computer. Yeah, so if I... Yeah, it definitely looks a lot thicker, but I think it's sort of an illusion. But I don't mind it. I think it makes a lot more sense. Like if you've got to make it a little bit thicker to fit in the ports, to fit in a bigger battery, then bloody do it. Like I don't give a shit. I'd rather have something that is more functional and a little bit bigger and heavier than have something that is really skinny and not so functional. Like if I want something really lightweight, then I'll go with a MacBook Air. Like that's the whole point of a MacBook Air. And I think Apple just seems like they got a little bit lost last generation because there was hardly a difference between the MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro in the end. Like the Air was slightly thinner and that was about it, you know? Like I'd like a more stark difference between them, and at the moment, that's definitely the case. Ooh, that didn't sound good. So, not sure how much you can tell from this video. It definitely feels like it's the next iteration because that screen is of course edge to edge. It feels good to be able to adjust the brightness up and down using full-sized function keys. I'm sort of in the middle about the touch bar. I honestly feel like there were some really good applications for it, but most apps never really took full advantage of it, so there really wasn't much point. And for practical day-to-day use, I feel like I definitely get more out of the function keys than what I would out of the touch bar. You know, whatever, I'm not sad to see it go. So there you have it. That is an unboxing of the 2021 Silver MacBook Pro with an SD card slot, a HDMI port, and Magsafe 3, and 3 Thunderbolt ports. If you like this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Feel free to subscribe to my channel by clicking on my face in the circle. Leave a comment down below. What do you think about the new MacBooks? Are you gonna pick one up? Do you think silver or space gray is nicer? Give me any and all of your opinions because I'm interested to hear what you think. Do you think, on that note, do you think I will get by on 16 gigabytes of the unified memory? Or do you think I should have gone with 32? This is the question. Anyway, I should probably do all the work that I was meant to be doing today instead of filming this video, so I can actually edit this video together. But again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.